So, guys, wow, everything is on the decline. I know that's probably a big surprise to you, but it shouldn't surprise everyone. Things are not looking good right now. Today has been an absolute and utter doozy. So, guys, I'm not going to talk too deeply about it because of how the platform works. I might talk more about that on Rumble if we switch over later to just Rumble, but you already know what happened with the diddler. You know that the diddler found a way out of his situation, and he's not going to get bail, but come October we'll find out how long he's going to spend, or if he's going to spend any time behind behind the bars. But I'm just addressing that real quickly. But everything is on the decline right now. Many of you that follow the gaming industry know what's going on there. Many of you that follow relationships and dating know what's going on right there. Lots of women are basically, it's just video after video of women panicking, saying that men are not dating anymore. Women going to Whole Foods, looking for men at Whole Foods, demanding men start dating again. There's this return of, we need healthy masculinity, which basically means men need to learn how to sacrifice again. It's unbelievable. Men need to learn how to engage, how to sacrifice. Illustrated. This is really touching on a much larger part. For those of you following the video game industry, there was almost 10,000 jobs slashed at Microsoft today, specifically centered around Xbox gaming. This is all downright unbelievable stuff. So this is a decline across everything. We can clearly see that we've basically reached that point now where people cannot continue going on anymore. The simp economy is not enough to sustain modern women anymore. Even the video game industry. And then also there's some news about the Nintendo Switch 2, where the I just read this prior to the I just read this prior to starting the stream, that there are users are actually reporting that the system is beginning to crash now due to overheating. This is on top of Nintendo being sued in Brazil by the Brazilian government, evidently, or a branch within the Brazilian government, a body within the Brazilian government, for their practices bricking devices. This is all insane stuff. Everything is on the decline. We're going to try to cover as many of these topics as possible. So watch the end of this video to fully understand what's going on in society, why everything is on decline, what's going to happen further, why is this happening right now. We're going to touch on all of that. We have videos from Men Reacts and Spawn Wave predominantly, and any others will be linked along with these guys in the description of the video, so you can go check them out. Go and check their channels out. Also, guys, don't forget to follow us over on Rumble if you're listening over on the Tube, because this platform is just stressing me out a lot. I will say it right off the bat, my people on Rumble, you may not feel it, but I do love you more. Trust me, I do. I do love you more. It's like, for those of you that ever watched Nintendo Minute with Kit and Krista, Krista is so bad. She's literally like, when she does her podcast with like Kit and Krista 64, she just straight up says, like, all my Nintendo Minute people, I love you more. We love you more. Like, it's just straight out bias right there. And I'm just gonna be honest, it's crazy because I started my career on this platform on the tube, and you know, it's just been hard. Just continuous nonsense. And I will say, like, even though it still is my primary source of, growing my business and my brand, I will say to my Rumble people, I do love you more. I do love you more. I have not been on Rumble for even a year yet, probably. And I'll say it again to my Rumble people, I do love you more. And it has nothing to do with, my YouTube people, because those that have been with me for a long time. I'm grateful for you, love to you. But in terms of a platform and people who, begged me and demanded that I go to Rumble when I did not want to go to Rumble, and I cried and I threw a shit storm saying that's where all the bad kids go. I don't want to go to Rumble. I don't want to go to Rumble, and eventually I ended up on Rumble, and that's exactly where I effing belonged. Yeah, shout out to my Rumble people because I do love you more. So we have a lot to cover today. We're gonna jump into all of these topics. We're gonna start doing some commentary on these videos, but yeah, go and check us out over on Rumble and follow us over on Rumble because we're gonna go over there halfway through. We're gonna be streaming exclusively on Rumble. So definitely go and follow us over there. It's linked in the description of the video, and I'll get it linked in the chat in just a little bit for you guys. And guys, don't let them convince you that you will own nothing and be happy. Go and check out Angry's Crypto Academy to learn how to buy, sell, and trade crypto and make massive profit, because we're going through extremely hard times right now. We are clearly on the decline, and you don't want to trust all of your funds in the bank. We actually having our summer sale right now, just like Steam has their summer sale. We're having our summer sale. I'm not gonna say, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like it was timed it was timed alongside the summer the Steam summer sale. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to act like it's going to end on this exact same day or right around the exact same day as the Steam summer sale. I'm not going to say that. Okay, those are allegations that I will never ever own up to. Now, if are there coincidences? Absolutely. Absolutely. So just like you can go and get yourself some good discounts from during the Steam summer sale, you can go and get yourself some great discounts. Not even good, great discounts over at Angry's Crypto Academy during our summer sale, while our prices are absolutely phenomenal. Some amazing, amazing deals over there. So go and check that out because you can see what's going on. Angry's Crypto Academy, link in the description of the video. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into the first video. And yeah, guys, like I said, it is an absolute doozy out there. I think we're gonna go with the gaming video first. Just touching on the disaster that's happening in the gaming industry, because it's very relevant to what's happening in the dating industry and everything else. Gaming, dating, they all end in ings, and they're all going downhill. They're all going to hell.
Been disastrous, to put it lightly, for Microsoft and just the gaming industry as a whole, because when you see one of these big three platform holders, at least for now, we'll see how things go in 5 years or so where we are. But when you see one of these large platform holders, and really the richest company out of the three, make these sorts of cuts, I mean, why would you be that interested in getting into gaming as a career path right now when it seems like your job is just constantly up in the air no matter where you are? Well, that's sort of the day it's been so far. And I say so far because we're like halfway through, and it seems like announcements keep happening of major layoffs, game cancellation. I mean, studios just like disappearing. And in fact, there was one in particular that popped up that absolutely floored me, and really just continues to reinforce this idea that Microsoft is very much so directionless with the Xbox, especially throughout this generation. I wanted to go over that here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Now, there was a lot that I'm trying to get into Newswave tomorrow, and I realized, wow, it's bad when an entire section that's about layoffs happening that day starts to overtake the next section just because of how much stuff is there and how long it's running. So I wanted to quickly go over a few things here, but like one in particular was just shocking to me. So this is over on Windows Central. It's where I first started to see it reported, as Jez Corden sort of floated the idea that the initiative could actually be on the chopping block here, along with Perfect Dark. And in fact, it happened. Now, they did start out saying that Microsoft reeled broad layoffs, hitting 4% of its global workforce. And across all of Microsoft, that amounts to like 8,000 to 9,000 people that are being laid off, which... Am I often thinking that, wow, Microsoft, it feels like every other month recently, there's been some sort of like pack of layoffs that have been announced. It's crazy to just see how frequently they're announcing layoffs of 1,000 people, 2,000 people.
And now it's almost 10,000 people. By the way, guys, if you want me to read your comments, if you want your comments to show up on the in the show, you're more likely to see your comments show up or to get read if you actually put them over on Rumble. I give Rumble the priority. So if you want me to talk, if you want me to read your comments, if you want me to put your comments on the screen, then you really should be leaving them over on Rumble. Because like I said, to my Rumble people, I love you more. I love you more. So I'm reading all the comments from you guys over on the tube, but priority is for the guys over on Rumble.
It's just like constant here. They say many of those layoffs are hitting Xbox, with staffers in various departments receiving notice today. Many of those affected include Xbox Studio The Initiative, which is sadly being closed down. The Initiative, formed back in 2018, is working on Perfect Dark. And there you go. Perfect Dark, as we know it, has been canceled, which is absolute insanity to me. So the Initiative, when it was formed in 2018, Microsoft was buying a bunch of studios, but they wanted to show that they can form a studio from the ground up, right? And they can work on here Perfect Dark, which for them is a franchise dating back to the Nintendo 64 days. And while they did have Perfect Dark Zero with the Xbox 360 that didn't go over the greatest, like it wasn't the greatest game or anything, it still worked to launch the Xbox 360. So really this franchise, Perfect Dark, has some weight behind it. So it makes sense that if you want to maybe do a reboot of it even, or just a new vision or idea of it, yeah, you hand it to a studio that you are investing specifically to be like this big up-and-coming studio with a bunch of talent, and we'll give them a franchise that's well-known that they can kind of do what they want with it. It seemed like they were off and running because, man, after they showed that initial reveal, do you guys remember that? It was, I think it was during a Jeff Keighley show, Game of the Year awards show, and they went through it. People were like, whoa, wait a minute, is this perfect? They showed the logo, and there were so many reactions of people losing their mind over it because it was so exciting, the idea that, okay, Microsoft is going to revive Perfect Dark, and it looks like they're going to put some money behind this thing. Okay, that's awesome. The initiative coming in to do it. And then it went quiet for a while. About a year or so ago, we saw what looked to be a gameplay trailer for it, although there's questions around that now, which I'm going to hold off on that until we get additional reporting. But it sounded like there were a bunch of vertical slices that were being created that never actually connected. And what we may have saw there was a highly polished vertical slice that wasn't necessarily representative of the real gameplay that we'd see. But nonetheless, what they showed us got people excited all over again because it seemed like, all right, they're figuring things out. They're moving towards the finish line. We're going to get this game in the next couple of years. And then, of course, we wake up today and it's gone. Like, it's canceled. The initiative shut down. 7 years of that with nothing to show for it. They also brought in Crystal Dynamics, who's working with the initiative on Perfect Dark. No clue what's going to happen with Crystal Dynamics at this point, by the way, because of the fact that they were being kind of rented out then by Embracer Group. And I mean, I guess they got paid, I'm sure, for their time, but now they're working on Tomb Raider. We haven't seen that game yet. And at this point, based on what's happened today, yeah, I mean, we've got to question all these games that we haven't seen, right? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes with how right now this industry is very trigger happy with just canceling games and laying off tons of people and shuttering studios. But this is, I mean, just a massive blow, I feel like, to Xbox's image just overall. And we've discussed them being directionless for a good chunk of this generation, but also going back to the last generation, because it feels like there are decisions being made from one side of Microsoft and then the other with gaming, right? It's like Satya Nadella all of a sudden is starting to do stuff here with gaming, but it kind of clashes with what they've said in the past their plans were with these acquisitions, and it's all over the place.
I mean, guys, this is just one of the big things that we're seeing right now. So there's a massive decline in the gaming industry. There's actually a video from Wagner Knows Why, and he kind of illustrates the situation even better. And he actually relates it to what we call Homath. Homath is a very popular channel on YouTube, and it talks about dating relationships and how women use certain types of logic or reasoning to justify the decisions that they make. So, for example, well, I'm going to apply this type of math to justify spending $1,000 because by me buying this dress that only cost $1,000, now I'm not going to buy this one and that other one, thereby saving $3,000. This is literal. It's just basically, it's just another name for what they call girl math, right? It's basically girl math. That's what it is, girl math. So what's happening in the video game industry is they've been applying very much girl math. And as a result of that, it's now beginning to result in the industry's decline because it's not based around logic, it's based around feelings and emotions. And of course, everyone else has to pick up the bill for it. I'm actually going to play the video from Wagner Knows Why. I'm going to link his channel in the description of the video so that you can go and check him out and support his content because I think he's a really good guy and he definitely does not have as many subscribers as he deserves. But we are going to go ahead and we're going to check out the video from him because it definitely relates to what we're seeing related to dating and relationships. And then with all of these industries beginning to collapse, especially the gaming industry, which heavily has been taken over by DI initiatives as well.
is ruining the gaming industry. I think anyone that has been watching the gaming industry change over time would notice that there's a logic coming from developers that absolutely makes no sense for anyone that is playing video games. I think that is a situation that we're seeing reflected back in the sales and the commentary around the success of many games coming out there. I know what people are saying. What are you talking about? Whole math. What does that have to do with anything? If you don't know anything about whole math, it was a popular trend on TikTok and Twitter talking about the leaps of logic a lot of women have when it comes to spending money or managing their finances. But of course, this is a joke, not talking about all women, but it talks about some people that are just bad at managing their money, thinking that purchases on expensive goods discounted at a small fraction of the price is a good financial strategy even when you're broke. And I think that is the commentary we saw about whole math. And I think now we're seeing that logic, the leap in logic and management of numbers to actually reflect what you want from a particular situation is the thing that we're seeing from game developers.
Y'all, game developers are now using home and he's absolutely right. Guys, they're literally out here using whole math to make decisions. Multi-million dollar or billion-dollar or even trillion-dollar companies like Microsoft are using home math. This is madness. This is beyond madness.
And it's kind of astonishing to see that because you're supposed to be focused on making an actual viable product that people want to spend money on. You're not supposed to make up lies and mislead everyone about the success of your game because it means nothing if you're going out of business. And that's what we're seeing with numerous titles that have been coming out from large AAA developers. Just look at Assassin's Creed Shadows there. Ubisoft bragging about having 2 million players while selling off the majority of their company to Tencent in China, claiming that as a successful result of having 2 million players play their game. And that is kind of the suspicious numbers that we keep seeing circulating around games getting relatively low numbers on Steam, bragging about having millions of players playing their game somewhere, whether it's on their own subscription service or whether it's on other subscription service, where we keep seeing this promotion of having millions and millions of players while struggling in sales of your game and subsequently resulting in massive layoffs. And I think that is the best example right here, where we have it with Doom, where it was celebrating its large player count while losing out on massive sales and troubling rumors around the job security of everyone part of the development team. And I think that is the thing we keep seeing with so many of these developers.
Now, something I want to point out, there is a rumor going around, and I think it's true, that Ubisoft is actually going to be remaking Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And Black Flag was evidently one of the most popular Assassin's Creed games ever made. Like, it was extremely popular. This game usually sells for around $40 right now for the gold edition. That includes, let's see here, the season pass, Assassin's Creed Black Death Vessel pack, and also Assassin's Creed Black Flag Crusader and Florentine pack, and along with the game. So let me see, did I get that right? Yeah, I did. So for $40, you can get Black Flag that came out some years ago. I don't see. I'm actually on Steam right now. It's not showing me the year that it was released. I'm probably have to search a bit. But the fact of the matter is that the game still looks very good. The game actually still looks very good, and evidently they're talking about remaking this game. Like, Ubisoft is talking about remastering it, so not a full, basically, like a quick, like how they did the Oblivion remaster. The thing is, the Oblivion remaster was done by an external studio, and it was done of a game that came out almost during like the the mix between the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era. So the game looked really, really outdated. So it was a big jump. Oblivion remastered was a massive jump, right? Compared to was a massive jump, to 2025 standards. But Assassin's Creed Black Flag actually came out back on October 29th, 2013. This game like this game came out a little over 10 years ago, but you have to remember that game development was at its peak at that point. In 2013, visually games were at their absolute peak. They look much better than the garbage that is coming out today. Way better. I mean, even games like Alien and Insert, I forget the name of it, but it's basically an FPS. Alien Isolation, beautiful, gorgeous game. This game came out like in 2013, it came, or 2010 through 2013, somewhere around there. Graphically, it's insane in 2025, absolutely insane. And I bring that point up to you just because if they're thinking about remastering this game to make a quick buck, the people who developed the original game were absolute geniuses. They were absolute geniuses. They knew 100% what they were doing, right? They knew what they were doing, and the fact is, you have people who are just not on that level. They're saying that, okay, well, we're going to go and develop this game now, and we're going to sell it for some quick money. And I don't think that's probably the best idea for them, because they're just not going to be able to develop a game that has the same visual fidelity that Assassin's Creed Black Flag had when it was released so many years ago. Like it is, even today, the game is still is still visually stunning. I was actually trying to like find some decent gameplay for you guys to put on to show you how the game actually looks. And because the game came out so long ago, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult to find. Like there's 4K gameplay which I can grab, but finding actually like you know what? Screw it. I might just grab the 4K gameplay and show it to you guys. The only pain in the butt is that it's gonna take a little bit longer to. Oh God. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer to download, because usually I can download these videos pretty rapidly. So while I'm talking to you, it's basically me buying time for the video to download. But with this video, it's actually going to take a little bit to download, and it's unfortunate. I guess what I can do, let's go ahead and cancel that. What I can do is I can just go to the 4K video and go to the 4K video, and then I can just, I don't like doing this. I can just put it on the screen. Let's see here. I think this is good. I think so. And I'll just show it to you that. So this is some of the this is how the game actually looks. All right, this is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and this is a game that came out in 2013, and they're talking about remastering this 2013 game and trying to re-release it to make some quick money. And I don't see them dropping. They could drop it for 50, but I could see them trying to drop this game for 60, for 60, 70, or even $80. I could see them trying to remaster this game and drop this game for like 60, or for a minimum of 60, maybe $70. Although I wouldn't even be shocked that they're so desperate for cash that they would go for 80. And the problem is that this game right now, again, you can get everything for the game. So basically the season pass, I think all of the DLC, everything, for $40. And right now on Steam, you can actually pick it up for as little as $11.99. $11.99. Like, who is gonna, like, if you can pick, again, this game was developed by a team of people that are no longer at Ubisoft, that know how to make games. And on top, not only can you pick it up for $11.99, but if you're too cheap to do that, you can actually go over to any of the key shops. Like, there are a bunch of different key shops right now. I'm not going to tell you any of them. It's none of the official ones, but some of the unofficial ones. You can go over to some of the unofficial key shops, and you can get this game for, I see it for $9, $8.99, $9, $9.23. So if you want to save $2, you can also get it over there, which makes no sense whatsoever. So you can get this entire game right now for $12. $12 on Steam for literally nothing. Is it on GOG also? I'll double check. I don't know if it's on GOG for that price right now. I don't know. I don't know if it's even listed on GOG, but good old games. But again, you can get it for $12 on Steam. $12 on Steam during their summer sale. And you're telling me that you want me to believe that the new team of people making games right now that made Assassin's Creed Shadows, they're going to make a game that is anything close to this with this level of visual fidelity and detail. It's going to be terrible. Unless they outsource the game, it's going to be terrible, I think. I truly think it's not going to live up to this title. And that's one of the saddest things about all of this. It's one of the absolute worst, absolute saddest things about all of this. How much they've fallen, how badly things have gotten. But you guys can see it for yourself. How amazing this game looks compared to the garbage. And I call it what it is. It's absolute garbage that they've been giving to us for so long right now.
Bragging about player counts. Of course, we saw this with Assassin's Creed. They sold half of their company to China, trying to save themselves from the massive flop of this game. But we keep seeing the bragging about having 3 million players overall. And we see this with Deathloop, who fired massive amount of the developer after its release, but it was bragging, saying it had 5 million players. And I think this goes in the logic of what we would call whole math, where it's depending on hopeful variables and magical thinking, projecting what you want to feel about the situation, when in actuality, you're about to lose everything in the situation. And I think this is what we're seeing translated in the gaming industry, where we have these mathematical numbers put in the forefront, trying to soothe board members, trying to soothe stockholders, or trying to dilute the developers themselves that they actually made something that is enticing to the fan base, when in actuality, that is not the case. And I think this whole math has an origin point in the gaming industry. It all goes back to what occurred years ago with Gamergate, where the fundamental dynamics of gaming changed. Where
one of the comments that's really good, like I said, if you're over on Rumble, then yeah, you're more likely to get your comments read. So if you want to have your comments read, probably should you should be on Rumble, or you can drop a super on the tube. But I love my Rumble people more. Ninja says, Ninja MWA, man walking away, says, I want to wait and see what Valve does with the Valve Deck Guard before I even touch another VR headset. In the meantime, I'll just settle for my HP gaming laptop, MetaQuest 3, and crypto and hardware wallet. So yeah, I'm actually thinking about picking up a MetaQuest 3. I'm just gonna because I want to be able to lay in bed and just watch my watch anime. And evidently it works all right with Crunchyroll. So that's pretty much it for me. And if I'm going to pick up a real serious VR headset, it's going to be from Valve. And I honestly feel like Valve has learned so much, because I think they did create a VR headset already. What was a minute ago? So now they're evidently working on another one. And the thing is, if they really nail this thing, and they've been doing really good, really well, if they nail this thing, I can see this completely revolutionizing not just gaming, but entertainment as a whole, because the way that people are going to begin using the VR headsets from Valve are going to be completely different. Valve has an insane ecosystem. So for example, with a new headset from Valve, you're going to have entire games that are designed around physical intimacy. This is where the real metaverse begins. So just like how there's a lot of lonely guys right now, and they're going to make games specifically, that's my assumption. Hopefully this thing will hopefully the new headset will have a microphone or support that. But you're going to have VR games, I suspected, that are going to finally allow you to interact directly with the AI person. So you're going to talk to them. It's going to kind of basically simulate intimacy. I don't know how much trouble Valve will run into for it, but basically it's just technically a game, and they're releasing it under the guise of a game because you're just talking and you're interacting, but it's just responding based on the commands or even verbal commands you're putting into it. Wink, wink. This is basically like, you can basically date whomever you want, through this. Or for example, let's say you're a guy who just comes home from work or whatever, and you want to relax. You put on a game, and it basically simulates a beach environment in your headset, in your VR, and now you can just sit back, relax, and you're in Cancun, or you're in Cancun, or you're at some beach in Europe, you're in Ibiza or wherever, or in the Philippines, and you're just relaxing on the beach, drinking a Corona. It's going to change everything, I think, because they have the ecosystem, they have the community, and they don't have a lot of the political issues that plague a lot of other shops like Apple. Like, for example, there are just so many experiences you would never be able to have in the Apple ecosystem or in the Facebook ecosystem. The thing is that, and this is the big thing that people don't understand, the number one thing that typically moves technology, specifically new forms of storage and so forth, it's PORN. There was a song out there where that it was basically the internet is for adult content. You know, do you know what caused the failure of beta of I'm trying to remember the name of the format. What was the format that Sony created? I know you guys are gonna scream it out. Sony VHS. Was it Betamax? What the hell was it? VHS competitor. Let me look it up with AI with Copilot. Was it? What was it? It was Betamax. It was Betamax. Okay, I wasn't sure, but Sony's main competitor to VHS was Betamax, a format it introduced in 1975, and it was actually the first consumer video cassette format on the market, beating VHS by about a year. Technically, Betamax offered slightly better video quality and more compact cassette sizes. So this is crazy. It was a better technology. But VHS, developed by JVC, had a few killer advantages. It had longer recording time, so VHS could initially record up to 2 hours, while Betamax was limited to 1 hour. That meant VHS could fit an entire movie or sports game on the tape. Open licensing. JVC licensed VHS to other manufacturers freely, while Sony kept Betamax proprietary. This led to a flood of cheaper VHS machines and tapes. Wider availability. More manufacturers meant more VHS products on store shelves, and eventually more movie titles were released on VHS. However, there is another big factor in there, and they don't like to talk about this because, by the late 80s, VHS had captured over 90% of the market, and even Sony began producing VHS players in 1988, and then Betamax limped along in the niche market until Sony finally stopped making the tapes in 2016, which is crazy. But how did Sony resisting adult content on the format hurt it? Hold on, because there's more to the story. There is absolutely more to the story. This is the major factor. So Sony's resistance. This is coming from AI. This is actually coming from AI, but it's a well-known fact regarding the failure, regarding the absolute failure of Betamax. And hold on. Where's friends, best friends? Okay, there we go. Yeah. So I'll read this to you. So how did Sony's resisting adult content on the format hurt it? Sony's resistance to adult content on Betamax is one of the most infamous and debated factors in the VHS versus Betamax format war. While not the sole reason Betamax lost, it played a surprisingly pivotal role in shaping consumer behavior and industry adoption. The adult industry's influence. Sony refused to license Betamax for adult content, aiming to maintain a family-friendly brand image. Meanwhile, JVC's VHS format was open license, allowing adult film producers to adopt it freely and distribute content widely. By the late 1970s, hundreds of adult titles were available on VHS compared to a fraction of Betamax. Why did this matter? The adult industry was a multi-billion dollar The adult industry was a multi-billion-dollar driver of home video adoption. Multi-billion. Back in This was back in the 1970s. What? Starting in the 70s? This is crazy, y'all. Consumers often bought VCRs based on content availability. Rental stores stocked more VHS titles, especially adult ones, which increased foot traffic and normalized VHS as the default format. VHS tapes also had longer recording times, which suited adult films and full length movies alike. So the broader lesson, Sony's decision reflected a moral stance over market pragmatism, but in doing so, it alienated a lucrative early adopter base, limited Betamax content ecosystem, let VHS become the de facto standard for both mainstream and niche audiences. It's a classic case of how cultural gatekeeping can backfire in tech adoption. So how did Valve allowing adult games significantly, check this out, significantly increase adoption as a gaming platform, right? Hold up. Now check this out. Uh, Unfortunately, see, this is the reason why I have to use so many different alternatives, because I was checking with Copilot, and let me see here. So yeah, I'm just waiting for it to generate. So while there's no definitive evidence that Valve's decision to adult content significantly increased Steam's adaptation, it definitely did broaden the platform's appeal. So Steam's dominance was already well established by then. However, it didn't make an impact on it, quite a bit impact. So before 2018, Steam had strict content moderation, often censoring or banning adult-themed games, especially visual novels and anime-style titles with explicit content. Developers faced inconsistent guidelines, leading to frustration and removals of games like, I won't say their names. 2018 policy shift. In 2018, Valve announced it would allow everything on Steam except for content deemed illegal or straight up trolling. This is crazy. Guys, that's how Valve became the de facto. This followed backlash from developers and players over inconsistent moderation. The policy aimed to let players and developers decide what content was appropriate, with Valve providing filtering tools. Implementation. By 2018, tools were introduced to mark games with mature themes and titles that, like Negligee, became love stories, became some of the first adult-related content games offered. A dedicated adults-only section was later added in 2020 via a Steam Labs experiment. So it expanded market appeal, allowing adult games tapped into a niche but dedicated market, particularly for anime-style visual novels and other adult titles popular in certain gaming communities. These genres have a strong following, especially in regions like Japan, and among Western fans of anime culture. The inclusion of this type of content likely attracted some new users who sought this uncensored versions of games that were previously restricted or required off-platform patches. For example, developers of titles like Honeypop could now release their uncensored version on Steam, and reducing the need for external workarounds. So, I mean, guys, this is how the internet This is how the internet also grew as a result of adult content, because it became a place where people could go to find this kind of content. But then they also said, oh, I can also use it to, do research for schoolwork. I can do it for this and this and this. The fact that we have closed platforms and, things like Microsoft are cracking down, Sony is cracking down, and then the game prices are skyrocketing even more, while basically Valve is doing nothing and they're still winning. It's a constant meme. Gabe did nothing and still won. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, guys, like, and if I go to ChatGPT, Valve's decision to allow adult games on Steam, particularly around 2018 when it relaxed restrictions, significantly increased its adoption and market dominance for several key reasons. Uncensored content attracted a new niche market. Steam became one of the only mainstream platforms to allow adult slash erotic visual novels and games, attracting fans of genres traditionally censored or banned elsewhere. Example on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles. This move pulled in both Western adult game developers and a flood of Japanese visual novels that previously had no large distribution platforms. Massive expansion of game library. By allowing this content, Steam drastically increased the number of titles it hosted, many of which had strong fan bases. This volume made Steam more appealing to a wider variety of users, including those who might not otherwise use the platform for mainstream AAA games. Revenue boost and ecosystem growth. Adult games, especially those with modding potential or ongoing DLC, created strong long tail revenue. Developers flocked to Steam because it offered visibility and monetization for games that couldn't exist on other platforms, creating loyalty and further enriching the marketplace. Positioning as a free market platform. So this is where things get crazy, guys, because Valve is now the de facto for internet gaming, for digital gaming. Valve's anything goes unless it's illegal or trolling stance gave it a reputation for free expression, appealing to developers and players frustrated with censorship on mobile app stores, PlayStation, and Xbox. This cemented Valve's position as the de facto PC gaming hub, embracing both mainstream and fringe genres. Many adult games on Steam also benefited from the workshop and modding communities, which kept users engaged for longer. This contributed to a stickier ecosystem. Players who bought these titles, adult games, often stayed to explore other genres, growing Valve's daily active user base. So, to summarize this, by opening the gates to adult content, Valve didn't just cater to a niche; it created a whole new market segment within PC gaming, reinforcing Steam's dominance. It turned what was once considered taboo into a mainstream monetizable asset, outpacing platforms that continue to enforce stricter content policies. Let me know if you'd like any other data points or case studies, examples such as sales spikes after the after adult game launches. So let me yeah, actually let's go. Yeah, let's ask about that. Sure. Give me the sales spikes after the adult title launches. All right, so we're just pulling up that data, but you guys can see where we're going with this. Ugh. All right, you can clearly see that it's had a massive effect and a massive impact on Valve's bottom line. And as more of these companies become restrictive, controlling, and make it more difficult for you to own your content, Valve continues to give you more freedom, more options, and they have the best customer support in the absolute world. There was literally a comment from a Valve employee who restored someone's access to their account after it got hacked, he basically said along the lines of, just to let you know, the access to your account has been restored, the hacker has been neutralized, and he basically said along the lines of a firing squad was involved, and now he's pretty much out of he's not coming back. This was an actual comment from a Valve employee, because Valve is known not to play around. They 100% play up to the whole notion that they don't play games with hackers. They are no other company would put something like this on the internet. You would say, bro, how can anyone post something like this on the internet, that you're committing like acts of violence against hackers? They don't care. And one of the biggest dangers of that with Valve is that the people who work at Valve are actual gamers. They only have like 300 employees, and they all play games. And the way that they do everything at Valve is they use a system of voting. So when decisions are made, they vote collectively. Most of the decisions at Valve are not made by executives at Valve. They're made by the average employee at Valve, because they only have like 300 of them. it's much easier to streamline things. Of course, Gabe can always veto things, but their entire culture is built around the player and people who enjoy playing games and building cool technology. So that's kind of what you can expect. There was a game called House Party by Eat Games, and it launched in early access in 2017. It sold around 30,000 copies within the first few weeks, then reached around 300,000 copies in its first year, and by February 2023, sales had climbed to 800,000 copies. After the censorship relaunch, so after August 2017, after reintroducing the game with optional adult content, House Party regained momentum and visibility. This relaunch was covered extensively by the press and content creators, fueling renewed sales. So it completely changed everything. Market share and visibility. Around 10% of Steam's top-selling charts are consistently adult tag titles, showing enduring presence among bestsellers. So, guys, like I said, Valve is going to really dominate in this new era as people are sick and tired of the BS, as people are sick and tired of censorship, as people are sick and tired of nonsense. It's really not looking good for any of the other platforms out there. Let's see here. What is going on here, guys? So I see some of you that are not happy. I don't know why you aren't happy. I'm basically just saying everything. What the living hell is wrong with some of you? What the heck? Hold on a second, guys. I'm like, I don't know. Everything is going fine. I thought you guys are. I'm looking over in the Rumble, and some of you guys, like, I'm talking about everything that's happening around us. This was one of the best streams out there. So disappointing. What the heck is going on with you guys? I don't know what's going on. Like, I guess people are unhappy. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, guys, it is what it is. I'll go and read some of the YouTube comments. Let me go ahead and read some of the YouTube comments. Because it looks like people over on Rumble are kind of miserable. Let me go and check this out here. I mean, we talk about video games as well. I don't know why some of you guys are being nasty. What the hell is going on here with some of these people? Guys, let me jump back into the video. Let's go ahead and watch some more. And this thing is, I have a bunch of other videos. Let's jump over to the women learning. Let's just jump over to this one. What's going on with modern women in society right now? Because maybe you guys are bored at the video game talk.
So I'm out having dinner with my girl, and I want y'all to just notice something. There's women, all eating there. They're everywhere. Oh my god. I am seeing something, a trend. Girls are all going out with their girlfriends. There's not like one date.
Hey, you fought for this. You should be reveling in your victory. You women openly admitted we are being used for free meals. What did you think was going to happen? You also said you'd rather have the bear than us. So have the bear pay for your dinner dates. Happy single independent women.
Please bring back the men who beg. Bring back men who beg. Please.
It's 2025. No man is begging to be with you. More than 80% of men have woken up. What do you have to offer that's worth begging for? We should beg for sexless relationships, drama that can make a dog go crazy, delusional demands your dad couldn't meet. Please tell us what you have to offer. Then maybe we'll go back to begging for your love.
I see a lot of women saying that men aren't pursuing them. They're not pursuing them anymore. They don't know what they have to do to get a man to pursue them. But listen, let me tell you something. Dating has changed so much post Me Too era. Men, especially younger generations of men, Gen Z, millennial generations, they are not going to pursue women the same way that they pursued women in the past because they don't want to come off as creepy, weird, whatever. Dating has changed. If you are a woman and you want a man, you are going to have to put some effort in. They're not going to chase you like they used to. or it's not. Especially if you're dating in the Gen Z millennial range. Like, you're going to have to put some work in if you want a man. They're not going to be calling you, showing up to your house with flowers. That's just creepy now.
She gets it. I mean, why should a man chase a dramatic liability? It's even more of a problem of reciprocation than chasing. Women always want things. They make a lot of demands and give nothing back. No man wants to be used anymore. I won't be surprised if she's married to a lovely man and beautiful kids. A single bitter woman can't have this mentality.
I don't know if it's just me, but I'm convinced. I am truly convinced. Convinced about what? I'm convinced that our black men don't like us as black women. They don't. They don't. I don't know if it has something to do with their insecurities, their low self-esteem, us being too strong, us being very boisterous. I'm not really sure what it is, but I am convinced that our black men are really not interested in us as black women. I'm convinced. So where are all the white men that want black women? Where y'all at? Get in the comments. Where are all the white men that want black women? Because the black men don't want black women. And if you're black, get in the comment. Do you want a black woman?
Well, black woman, even white men don't want you. Both white men and black men are either not dating anymore or traveling to other countries to find a partner. Maybe you all should start holding yourselves accountable and fix your damn attitude. Men have had enough.
Bear in mind, I have noticed this when I go to the States myself. Like, when I was in Manhattan earlier this year, I was in the clubs and what the hell is going on? Okay, so not only do men not approach women in clubs in New York, but they don't even acknowledge you when you come and sit on the same table as them. Why am I joining your table and you are making eye contact with me and you're cutting your eye at me and looking away? In that particular case, it was just the acknowledgement of, yeah, you're right, and then keep it stepping. Like, I'm British, we are unfriendly as fuck, and you can't unfriendly us. You know, if you're gonna do that, that's a record-breaking achievement. And the fact that men in New York can do that is unbelievable.
There has been a lot of anti-men rhetoric on social media for the past decade. Women have said, don't approach. You have bashed men on every social media platform. Me Too, feminism, man versus bear, as well as using guys as a human ATM. Men are waking up. You've pushed us men to the point where we've said, okay, we hear you. We will leave you alone. And now women must take the initiative if they want a relationship. Welcome to the Thunderdome. It's your world now.
The art of chasing does not exist anymore. The art of proper courting a woman does not exist anymore.
I agree.
Yeah. And I just want to feel like desired.
You know something that's really strange? I'm looking at the comments. I don't know. It looked like over on Rumble, it's clear that there were a bunch of haters that just came into the comments. And, you know, they're talking crap like this guy, mine, blah, blah, blah. We cloned Angry to a more compliant version. Yeah, this is, I don't know what nonsense. So, guys, there's some nonsense going on over on Rumble. Yeah, Professor Chaos says, I'm enjoying the stream. Yeah, there's nothing different about the stream. It's a normal stream. I kind of talk about different topics. And what's even like people like Sophia Starr, I'm kind of disappointed in her because she kind of pissed me off previously and I just did not block her. But now this was one of the best streams out there. Like, I don't know what's going on. And to think that she's like one of the trolls now, like, I didn't want to block her. Like, goodbye, Sophia. Have a great day. You know? Like, I mean, like, I pretty much allow everything to go on the stream. You can say whatever you want. You can express yourselves freely. And I don't know. It has to be infiltrators. It has to 100% be infiltrators that are now just, I don't know. Like, I don't know where these people suddenly came from. But Like, yeah, this one person, Lampshade, says that certain groups of people have gotten too angry. He's going to behave himself from now on, or else. Yeah, we've Ninja says we've got trolls in the comments angry. Just block them. Let me see here. Yeah, and none of our, you know what's problematic? None of our usual moderators are even here. But Ninja MWA is over here now, because I mean I don't even usually what I do is I set up. I know the trolls feel like they're like we're winning. Like what have you won? Like what have you actually won, troll? You know what? Coming over to a channel where you're just being given something for free and you can talk with like-minded people and have a good time. Like what? You just won. You're winning by ruining the experience for everyone else. Like you literally won nothing. Like it's like all hail Vegeta, Prince of Nothing. You won nothing. What? Like I mean, like guys, so many people today they have nothing going on in their lives. They have nothing going on in their lives. Everything is absolutely miserable for them. So they decide that they want to make everything else miserable for everyone else. You know, because it's like my life sucks, so I'm going to make everything miserable for you. I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to make your life harder. I'm I'm going to create more problems here, you know? Like that's honestly how so many of these people absolutely think. And Ninja says VR will have crypto space near the future. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That's why I brought it up. Let me see here. Ah, crap. Ninja MWA. Teh. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100% with you, Ninja. Like, I agree that that's where it's going. I agree. We're definitely going in this direction where it's going to definitely have. There's definitely going to be a lot of integration. I don't know how much Valve is going to actually allow, but there's going to be something there. I think. You know, it's not going to be just completely straightforward. It's gonna there's so much potential, and Valve knows how to operate very conveniently. If there's any community that's going to protect its users very much from like crypto garbage, it's going to be Valve. So while crypto could eventually make a while there likely will eventually be some type of crypto integration, it'll never get to the stage like, you know, with Ubisoft trying to do this kind of garbage. Also, Ninja, I just added you as a moderator. It says that it may take up to 10 minutes for this change to propagate across the system on Rumble. So you've been added as a moderator on Rumble. So you can deal with the trolls. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what suddenly happened, guys. A bunch of trolls just decided to pop up into the stream, and I don't know if they were sent here from somewhere else. It's weird that it's happening on Rumble, because you'd think that it would be over on YouTube, but for some reason it's happening on Rumble, and that just kind of shows you that Rumble is growing so much. It's becoming much more popular because, you know, on the tube, a lot of these people have just been straight up banned and blocked. You know, it's unfortunate. I just got rid of Sophia Star. She was actually it seemed like a really decent person, but wow, like suddenly like that, just becoming real nasty for no reason. Okay. Okay, sis. Okay, little bro. Let me see what's going on over here. Cash says the economy is going down. It 100% is going down, and that's what's leading to a lot of the responses and behaviors right now, where there's a lot of panic happening. Lots and lots of panic is happening right now because of the declining economy.
Feminine. I want to feel like the feminine energy, not the masculine energy.
And I'll tell you this. I want to feel like if he has me, his eyes aren't wandering, if there's something better. I want him to be like, whoa, you are it. That's fucking amazing. And that's it. I just want to, you know what I want? My type of guy, call me back. That's all I want.
No, wait, they call you back.
Okay, so I'm actually writing a book about a lot of the things that you just said. And the energy, I think, to give off, to get that, because it is rare, but it's out there, is you are lucky to be in my presence. I still, we've known each other since we were 12, give off that energy. Like if you go...
You are lucky to be in my presence. This is so the same modern women who are basically saying that men won't approach them Men won't approach them, and they're not being masculine anymore, and they're brave enough to just glance at them and not say anything to them. Okay, they're gonna double by saying down by saying men need to understand that they want the men to basically be with them, and there's something better, but know that you're lucky just to be in my presence. What do you bring to the relationship? My presence. So basically, I said this before, they believe that they are gods. They believe that they are gods. You should ask nothing of them, but you should ask them what you can do for them and how you can continually serve them better. This is the same thing that a simp pastor said. Just be grateful that you should feel that you are lucky just to be in my presence. How do you guys? They believe they were here. They believe that men were created to worship them and they were created to be worshipped. That's the truth.
If you go away from me, like, you don't get access to this.
Yes.
You don't get access to this personality. You don't get access to these boobs. You don't get access to this witty, funny, charming personality. They should be so lucky.
Notice how they don't list off a single damn thing he gets in return. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. These women just want to use men as ego fuel. They want to feel validated. Get out of my face. That's all for today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, click on the notification bell to know when I drop a new video.
Attractive anymore, and I'm not even talking about looks. It's the fact that so many of them are not healed, not self-aware, can't connect emotionally, stuck at surface level because they don't know how to go beyond that. Like, they don't even know themselves, and they're constantly out here trying to chase the next best thing. Being emotionally unavailable, don't know how to express yourself at this big age is a complete turnoff. Like, take some time and heal. Go find yourself.
We are healed. We just have standards and boundaries now that you all can't accept, and that makes us sassy, insecure, and controlling. We are healed, and we're not putting up with your bullshit anymore.
Y'all want the women to call you. You want the women to text you. You want the women to pursue you. You want the women to plan the date. You want the women to come pick you up. You want the women to take initiative, show that she care. Okay. When did this become a thing? And it's not all men, it's some men. But when did this become a thing? The video I posted about low effort men and the amount of women who have the same kind of stories is baffling to me. Can somebody help me out? Like, men really don't plan dates anymore. They want you to approach them and ask for their number. Who is to blame for this shit, y'all? Somebody please tell me.
So guys, basically their plan is shame. It's sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, because they need to be right. And they believe that this is how they're going to get what they want. They don't realize that this behavior is only pushing out the remaining men that are left behind, that are still out there, still playing the game. They're pushing them out of the game, or they're pushing them overseas. And because these are the tactics that have worked for them for so long, that they can't understand. This is the reality. Who's responsible for this? It's you. They don't know how to treat men with kindness, with respect, with, they don't understand these things. And they've been taught never to compete for men. When you say something along the lines of, you should be grateful just to be in my presence, that basically is saying that, you believe that you yourself are a god. They call themselves goddesses, and that means that they desire to be worshipped and to be served and to be revered. They believe that they were born to be served and men were born to serve them. This is a bad way of viewing life. No one wants to end up having to do something like this. No one wants to be treated like that. And of course, the thinking is not going to change because that's how they've been raised and wired for the last 50 to 60 years. So I would say that there's just really no going back from this unfortunate circumstance, and it's just going to continue to propagate in this way for the foreseeable future. I shake my head to it. I genuinely shake my head to it, but I realize that it's just the nature of the world right now that we live in, and it's happening because of the decisions that were made many years ago. Many of our fathers, they did not care about what was happening. When I say fathers, I mean children of the baby boomers. They didn't care what was actually happening in society. As long as their most basic needs were met, they were basically fine with that. Okay? And that's why we ended up with a generation where men are disliked, and you have, the so-called fair sex is now more masculine than men. And of course, it's, what men are looking for is someone who is fit, feminine, and friendly. Modern women, on the other hand, they've made it clear that they're going to decide, they dictate relationships, they dictate dating, they dictate everything in society. And if men don't like that, if men don't adopt to it, then they're just going to say, on to the next one, on to the next one. They don't understand that men are the ones who choose who are there. Men are the ones who decide. Men are the ones who decide. Men are the gatekeepers of the relationship. Men are actually the gatekeepers of physical intimacy. Men are the gatekeepers of everything. But because of the simps in our society, because of how society treats men, it's created a disproportionate belief that women have a lot more value than men. Women are born with their value, while men have to work to earn their value. The reality is women are simply born with the perception of value depending on the society that they live in. If you look at societies like China, in China, men are born with men are born with perceived value, while women traditionally had to earn their value. Okay, that's how it was for most societies until until the cultural shift that occurred back during the 1900s. Especially the baby boomer era, where there was a shift where women are brave, women can do this, women have you don't need to be in a relationship, and if he wants you, he's going to have to put in a lot of work. There was a massive shift in the perception of value in society, and women became seen as more valuable socially than men, even though the responsibility for maintaining and taking care of society still fell predominantly on men. And that's what's basically continued on for such a long time. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. More so, I just see more men continuing to walk away from relationships that basically don't serve much of a purpose for them. You know? And it's not, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think it's going to continue going down this direction. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. Society is at a crossroads, and when I say crossroads, I mean there's no real coming back. Men are not going to come back as a whole. Men are pretty much done with this. They're basically focusing on what comes next for them, basically moving on to the next stage of their lives without marriage, without relationships, without dating, and instead focusing on the things that make them happy. What makes you happy? Playing video games. Makes you happy? You're listening to music, spending time with my dog. Maybe if I have any male friends, hanging out with my male friends. But but aside from that, yeah, most men are pretty much done with this shift, with this narrative, and they're walking away. They're like, yeah, we're not going to tolerate it anymore because we can do better. And also, it's resulting in men now understanding their own worth. Yeah, there's a comment from Shinku. He says that aphonism has poisoned them. Basically, yeah, it's changing the mindset of how women think, perceive their own value, and perceive the value of men. You see here. Let me see here. Shinku says they don't even want to cook for you anymore. They absolutely don't. A lot of women are saying they're looking for men who will cook for them. So they want a man to play both the masculine and the feminine role. What they want is a man who will submit to them, serve them, protect them, be their best friend, and everything that is unimaginable. And even then, they still won't be happy. So they want a man that will take the responsibility for providing for them and giving them everything that they want, and basically being all of these things and then some. And then they will have a second or third or fourth guy that meets different needs. So what women really want, they don't want a single man. They want a multitude of different men that will meet different needs, because you'll never find the traits of a perfect person in just one person. Even if this guy checks off all of these different boxes, it will never be enough. Because what ends up happening is she'll get bored, and the only things that she will ultimately want are more and something else. And it's sad to say that, but it's the honest to goodness truth. Honest to goodness truth. Shout out to Golden Ratio. It says MGTOW MWA love. Yeah, bro. Thanks for shouting out. Thanks for shouting out. Shinku says I don't need no man. I don't need a man messaging that's really led to a lot of this. I agree 100% with you on that. I agree 100%. You know, it's a it's a very sad thing. Very, very sad thing, and it's just going to continue going down this path because because of how men have been treated in society and continue to be treated and the public perception that comes with this. Oh boy. I tell y'all. I tell you, and then I tell you some more. Life is so fun. Life is the craziest thing. Life is 100% the craziest thing. Society is crazy right now. The world feels crazy right now.
You're really asking who's to blame for this? Which gender is always quick to label a man a creep because she isn't attracted to him? Men have seen that the safest way to get a woman is to let her make the first move. If you can't do it, then that's your problem. Has anyone noticed that creep shouts have reduced? Yeah, a lot of men have finally realized the truth.
Before I go on ranting, I just want to show you my awesome plate. Bomb.com, I think so. Something that really icks me is men when, I don't know, I seen this TikTok and it was just like men going on about like how women act like they can't ever plan a date. I'm sorry. Kind of reminds me of how this man told my sister, my beautiful, gorgeous sister, guys, she is drop dead gorgeous, okay? And like, trust me, because I used to call her ugly, okay? She's blossomed, she's beautiful. And this guy was like, I'm an investment. I'm sorry, dude, like, go date a man. I think some of these men are just confused and don't know what they want because they say they want a woman.
Yeah, men are beginning to know their worth. I'm the investment. I'm the one. I'm the prize. And you get. And how does a woman respond? Oh, you give me the ick. So basically, anything that you don't like, they basically try to shame you and say that you give them the ick. In other words, like you're disgusting, right? So they try to create the perception that you're a creep, you're disgusting, you're someone that they should stay away from. And then she's saying these things while she's wearing a cross around her neck. So she is a Christian woman.
But then they want the women to act like a man. It's like, it's not clicking. This is going to be controversial for you men out there because I know some of you are like little crybabies and princesses that are wearing wigs. But men should be paying for the first dates, period, point blank. Now, if you're in a relationship that's completely different, you know, to each their own, but if you're taking a girl out, and on top of that, like, you're making her drive, like, I'm sorry, unless she's, like, okay with you not having a car, still crazy, but I'm just kidding, people have their preferences. I'm just saying these men out here be acting like they're princesses and whatnot, and they need to get their nails done and get their hair done, and do you boo, because you ain't no man, you a twin, you a sister.
A woman saying we men don't know what we want. These women never cease to amaze me. Clowns. If we pick a place for a first date, when you go home, you'll be the one to set up a camera and start ranting to your TikTok warriors about how we took you to McDonald's. So plan the damn thing. God forbid a man doesn't want to be called weird.
Why'd I delete my dating apps? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because most guys on the dating apps really want to be the princess in the relationship.
So think about this very carefully. Women are now beginning to walk away from dating apps, and they're not really deleting them. They're only using them to find guys they want to be quickly intimate with. But for actually finding a relationship, they're now going back out into society because they're realizing that dating apps are a very poor place to find an actual relationship. The thing is that when they go back to society and they think that they're going to meet a guy at a car, at a club, at a car, at a club, at a bar, at a club, at a coffee shop, that's not the case. What they're finding is that it's much harder to meet a man in society today because even traditionally, men did not really walk up to women. Even in the 90s, it was very uncommon for a man to just walk up to a woman and have a conversation with her. It's just very, very uncommon. But as a result of social media, where women began finding men rapidly that are willing to go on dates with them, that are willing to provide them with food and supplement and subsidize their living, that made them believe that there's an endless supply of men. But the irony is now they realize the quality of men that are available on social media, the kinds of men that are available on social media. These are guys that are just there looking for physical intimacy. These are not guys that are looking to commit. These are guys that will may hover around them, but these are not serious men for relationships. And now they're thinking they can go into society and find any man that they want in society. When they find out that it's very difficult and that the pickings are very thin out there, because the men have been conditioned for years now to not approach, not to bother them. Now they're basically angry. They're ranting on not X, on TikTok, and they seem to think that this is going to force men back into dating and relationships. They don't comprehend it. They don't treat men. They're not treating men like people. And women overseas, of course, are seeing this, so they basically know that it's extremely easy for them to get into a relationship with a man was being treated very poorly in Western society. And again, women in Western society, they will never basically comprehend what they're doing, because they believe that, treating a person kindly, treating a man kindly, being there for him, being kind to him, these are things that's princess treatment. Men are basically there to serve you, and they should be just grateful that they are allowed to serve you and be in your presence. And it's a very, very unfortunate thing, but that offers up endless amounts of opportunity for men who are for women overseas who understand how men are being treated and what men actually want and desire. Let's read some more of the comments. Shinku says, do you think, I'm not going to read that. Shinku says traditionalism. C says stay far away from women who act this way. Shinku says that dating apps are dying. Absolutely. 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 Yeah. It's pretty much that's pretty much the situation right here. That's 100% just the situation right here. To be honest, like it's most relationships right now are just pretty much they've been on the decline for quite some time, and they're continuing on the decline. So don't really expect a major shift, because it's not going to happen. Relationships are predominantly just over in Western society, and it's only going to continue going in that direction, because most women don't in Western society don't know how to actually attract a good man or keep him as their man, because they don't treat us very nicely here.
So you don't get to be the princess because they want to be the princess. Like, should I open the door for you? Here's my Dior lip gloss. Slay queen. Like, I'm not looking for a princess, I'm looking for a king.
You say you're looking for a king, but you modern women are nowhere near a queen.
They say they want a king, but they expect you to serve them like a servant. That's how a king is defined. A king serves the queen. Guys, have you ever heard of anything like that? To be a king, you must serve the queen. Jesus help us.
You can't even make a damn sandwich. You're not submissive. You can't cook. You can't clean. You bring nothing to the table. But you want queen treatment? Get out of my face.
I have an honest question. When did men decide they wanted to be chased by a woman? Am I missing something? A man is supposed to do the chasing. It's never a woman's job. Don't fall for it. When a man tells you, like, I want you to chase me, run the opposite way.
Once you have been taken advantage of for free meals or you get into the friend zone, you don't invest. Also, we've been told we're not needed, wanted, or desired. If you desire a man, you have to approach him now.
Someone please explain to me why this generation of men wants to be chased by women. I went to a group dinner this weekend, and one of the guys at that dinner expressed interest in me. The entire night, he was complimenting me. Oh my gosh, you're so well spoken. You're so beautiful. How do you not have a boyfriend? Making some very, very big claims like, I want to take you on vacation. Let's go out of the country. I want to take you on dates. Basically just telling me everything I want to hear, which is That's fine. Okay, to an extent. You know, the night continued to go well. Dinner was finished. We all went out after. It was a lot of fun. And then I went home and he followed up the next day with a text. Texted him back. After that, he didn't answer. But he continued to follow me on Instagram and started liking and commenting on some of my pictures. Like, do you really think I'm gonna fall for that? Like, you just telling me everything I wanna hear and I'm gonna believe you at like face value? If you're gonna make those really big claims of you wanna take me here, you wanna take me there, you better book the dates and you better book the tickets. This is my point. Men are supposed to court women. That means if you're interested in a woman, you make the plans for the date, make the reservations, buy the tickets, confirm with the girl. That's your role as a man. If you think that you're gonna like dangle the carrot in my face and then pull it away and expect me to like chase behind you, that's not happening. So ladies, I would love to hear your experiences of when men thought you were gonna chase them. Because the truth of the matter is, if it's not that one, it's just someone else.
Men, men, men. You say that's our role? Okay, what's your role? Look pretty and spend our hard-earned money? No thank you. She wants traditional courtship but upholds no traditional expectations in return.
I severely dislike men who make it seem like you, the woman, has to chase him. And let's talk about it. Maybe this just comes with men who do not like the woman that much. But I aspire to be with a man from day dot who knows I'm going to be something serious to him or I will be his wife. Because like I said in another video, don't act like you don't like me because I promise I don't even have running shoes. I'm not about to chase you. It's just something about the dating pool right now that a woman has to prove something to these men. When has it ever been like that? I watch a lot of movies and TV from back in the day. That's not what was depicted. That's not the stories my parents was telling me from back in the day. Huh. And watching Temptation Island has severely just left a bad taste in my mouth because why are you acting like you don't like why do you want me to be jealous? Why are you acting like you don't like me? Just like that one girl said, don't act like you don't like me because I will leave if I feel like what? I don't know, bro. I'm just a young, fine babe navigating life.
Gone are the days of chivalry. What a man can do, so can you too. You have to chase too and show effort. You fought for feminism. It's your fault.
I just want to know what's going on with these men in Atlanta. I seem to only be meeting men that are in their soft girl era. It's kind of confusing, a little weird, but is it just in Atlanta or are any of you women experiencing this in other cities? Because like, it's really like some crazy ass shit, like for real. Like I'm a little bit confused, but, or maybe I'm just looking too into it, but yeah, definitely soft girl era vibes. So y'all let me know.
You see, guys, most of them are never going to admit to what they've done. They'll never own up to their actions. They'll never admit to the mistakes that they've made. They are not going to admit to it. They're going to just blame us endlessly. And of course, as things get worse, they'll just continue saying that they don't need us. They're fine without us. They're basically, happy with their cats at home. They're going to have videos of them drinking wine alone, of them hanging out with the girlies, saying that everything is wonderful, of them continuing to post pictures of of being on vacation when in reality they're not on vacation, of trying to make it look like they're living this wonderful life that they're not living. You're going to have women who are living in their cars that are going to try to make van life or car life look extravagant. Many of them won't even admit that they're actually living in their cars, but they're going to try to put on this show so that they can attract a following of simps and women who basically are going to say, oh yeah, you go girl, I can emulate this, and then try to make money that way. But of course, it's going to be the simp. So there is basically every girl going forward is going to be trying to live off the simp economy, and the simp economy is dwindling as we speak. Much of it is moving overseas, and much of the simp economy is moving overseas. And what's left of it in the States, there's just not enough to go around. There's 100% just not enough to go around. Men are beginning to wake up and realize that they have all the leverage. They have all the power. They have all the leverage. They have everything. okay? Because they're the ones who have to say yes. And then when they're looking at what they have, the options that they have, they're very slim, very bad choosing. So of course, there's a massive scarcity that's not going to change anytime soon. It's only going to get worse into 2020, into the late 2020s and into the 2030s. But over time, there will likely will be a lot of backlash over the way that men continue to be treated in society. There will also likely be law changes in laws. I can't say how significant, but when you look at how things are working, especially the family unit right now, and men are pushed out of society, if it begins to affect the state may basically institute policies that, push back on the whole empowerment narrative, trying to pull men back into society. Don't think for a moment that a national requirement for military service or civic duty also cannot happen. It very much can happen. If there are not enough men in society, they can basically begin requiring that young men, and not just men 18 to 25, but men who are even older than that, to participate if they want to continue remaining able to access things like Medicaid and so forth. And even then, it might not work out because, a lot of these guys will just say, okay, well, I'm just going to stay at home and have no health insurance and we'll just live like that. It's the truth, especially among Gen Z guys. They'll just be like, yeah, I won't have any health insurance then. Or if I do go to the hospital, then, I'm a brokey. So, they can't deny me care. So they're going to have to pay for it anyway. Oh, is that a $73,000? Is that a $73,000 bill? Ha 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 ha. I'm never going to pay for it. So it's just going to keep on skyrocketing. And there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. I'll go to the doctor whenever I don't feel well. I'll go to the emergency room. They can't deny me care. And here's the thing, because these people are not, if you take away their things like health insurance, now there's no preventative care. So when they finally do go, they're less well than they would be if a lot of things could have been prevented that won't be prevented. And now when they do go, it's going to cost even more money. And those doctors and the hospitals have to get their money, because I saw this thing on social media, and it's so true. Like, hospitals hospitals don't have patients, they have customers. And people need to understand that it's basically just a place where people working there are making money off you. And the goal is not to treat you, the goal is to make money from you and to make as much money as they possibly can, so that everyone there can live, comfortable lives. That's the reality of it right now. Let me see here. Let's see here. Mick says all the BS going on in this world, and women are still worrying about attention. It's true. It's true, and it's a failure to see. It's a failure to grow up and accept the reality. Yeah, TJ says this is the world that they wanted. Now they're complaining, shaking my head. 100. You're 100% right. Shinku says they prefer the bear. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let me see. Shinku says student debt dumped by Chads and Tyrones, no prospects of a relationship, cooked. No, you're 100% right about that. You're 100% right about that. TJ says that I've looked into the INCL community, and they have very valid points. Combine that with red pill and MGTOW and you're invincible. So it's unfortunate that the people who've given the INCL so much growth and so much, so much of a following have been modern women who've treated a lot of men so poorly that now they've fallen into these communities. And again, I'm not saying that I support any of them. I'm just pointing out that, the people who help these communities to grow the most have been modern women themselves. Modern women are the most responsible for the way things are right now. It's a sad thing, but it's sad, but it's true. And I don't see things really improving any. I don't see things improving much more in the future. I honestly don't. Okay, it's just going to be a continuous decline from here, because society has been on this spiral for decades now, and now the roosters are just coming home to crow. The roosters are just coming home to crow. But let me see here. There's another comment. Let me read. There's some more comments over here. L3 says, despite the reality we face, I still have to deal with a bunch of annoying simps preaching how to in and out How the trip to In and Out is the end all be all. Jeez. Oh boy. We have a Gen Zer. PK says, "I'm a Gen Zer, and I'm a Gen Zer, and I'd rather be single than be miserable, especially with American/Western women. All of them are very self entitled, egotistical, narcissistic, hypocritical individuals. Better a free man than a butler." And that's really it. A butler. That I agree entirely. I entirely. You know, bet because that's what they want. They want a butler that they can talk down to, treat poorly, and then gaslight. Like, you should be grateful to worship me. You should be grateful you can serve me. You should be grateful that you're even allowed to be in my presence. Like, they truly believe that they are goddesses. And guys, that's one of the things that happens when you're a false god. When you believe that you're a false god and you believe that you deserve worship, eventually everything will start to fall apart for you. I said this before, that God allowed them to reach the peak of the highest. God allowed them to climb reach the heights of the highest mountain so they can fall from the highest peak. And once they return to Earth, they're going to basically discover that things are much more difficult, things are much harder, and that the reality of it is that they should have, they should have tried to find a good guy that was humble, that would be there for them when they had the opportunity, when they were still young. But they instead chose to, run around with Chad and Tyrone. They were disrespectful. They didn't know they didn't learn how to be wives and mothers. And now they're going to be in this situation where there's just really no coming back from it. Yeah, TJ makes a good point. He says, "Remember, passport bros don't travel to America to find women. Why? It's clear because, America is a place, American Western society increasingly have become very toxic for men. So that's the reason why they go overseas, to find someone who is fit, feminine, and friendly, and was raised to be a wife and a mother." TJ basically says it's the emperor with no clothes, 100%. Basically, they're just gaslighting us, but it doesn't last forever. If you look at the fall of the Roman Empire, the empire fell. Women got all of these rights in the Roman Empire, and then eventually it pushed men out of society. Men were demoralized and disenfranchised. Men stopped serving in the empire. They stopped serving in the military. They stopped taking care of the empire. The empire was entirely operating off servant labor, SLAVE labor, and within 100 years, they had no more military. Men had disappeared from society. Everything. All of the assets in the empire, everything was being used to subsidize women in the empire. Barbarians, basically aliens from another land, came and realized the emperor had no clothes. The empire could not protect itself anymore. They pillaged the empire. We were plunged into 1,000 years of darkness. Imagine living in caves and eating squirrel meat. And then we were basically ruled over the Catholic Church for 1,000 years, after which, uh, reading, writing, and arithmetic were reintroduced to the general public, and we emerged from that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the history of the fall of the Roman Empire, and it all started to go downhill after no fault divorces. And then you had, it just propagated into a situation where women were running off with gladiators and divorcing their husbands, refusing to raise their children, and leaving them to servants, specifically SLAVs, to raise, which is absolutely terrible. And men were being punished, called worse than all of the criminals in the Roman Empire by the emperor. He said they were the worst of the worst, and they were banned from going to the Colosseum. They were banned from going to any public events. They were forced during the winter time. Single men were forced during the winter time to run in the streets like chain gang style, and they still would not marry. And within a short period of time, within 100 years, the society fell. 100 years. And the thing is that for America, we're in the late stages of this right now. Like, when you look at what stage are we in, we're in the very, very late stages right now, where men have like male participation didn't just start declining in the 2020s. It's been declining since, like, I think the 1980s or 1970s. It's been declining for a very long time right now. So we have like 40 to 50 years of male participation in the workforce declining. So we're actually at the late stage right now. It's amazing that things were kept together this long, and a lot of it had to do with immigration. but you can see that that pathway is beginning to change as well. So yeah, it's not going to be pretty. TJ says the beautiful ones in the mouse utopia, they didn't have to work or reproduce, only giving that glamorous life. And that's what's going to happen. More and more men are just going to hunker down into minimalism, and men pay 80% of all taxes, women make 80% of all consumer purchases. But if more women are working and men and a few if more women are working and less men are working and looking for relationships, because if a man is not protecting his wife, if a man is does not have a wife, a kids, if a man doesn't have a family of his own to protect, the only thing that he will protect is his peace. And that's what we're seeing play out right now. We are seeing it play out right now, where men are prioritizing and protecting their peace, their well-being, their happiness. And the more you take from a man, the more he will simply give up. It sounds crazy. You're like, when I say give up, I don't mean give up as in giving up on life. I mean giving up his possessions. The more that they try to take from men, the more men will surrender to them. Surrender to them does not mean surrendering himself. Surrender, it means surrendering their possessions. So for example, oh, you want to take video games away, men will just surrender them eventually. Some will fight, but many will just find something else. They will find another path. And if you take everything from away from a man, a lot of men will be just fine with that. They'll even come to the notion that, you know what, I wasn't really playing games to begin with. So what are you doing now? You don't really have anything. You have the clothes on your back and you have next to nothing. And for the man, he's like, yeah, but I'm able to afford, small amounts of food. So, I eat once a day. Or some guys, I eat well enough. I have a roof over my head. And that's all that I need. I don't need anything else. And I'm happy. And that's the honest to goodness truth. Minimalism, men pursuing minimalism, is actually very dangerous for society, and it's only going to continue going down that, because if men refuse to create wealth, then there's no wealth for society. Women only pay 20% of taxes, men pay 80% of taxes, and the main driving factor in this is men basically having a wife, men wanting to have a wife and the children, having the family and the stupid little dog and the 2-car garage. However, that social contract has been broken. Men were told that, in the 1900s, men were given the social contract, like, if you give everything for your country, we'll give you status, we'll give you respect, we'll give you a wife, kids, you'll have a job, you'll have everything. All you have to do is create value in society. And that's what men did. But over time, everything was taken away from them, but they are still expected to honor their end of the social contract, which has been broken a long time ago. So it's over now. And you can never make a man work harder than he'll work himself. Because with men, for example, if you have an SLAVE, right? They're only going to do as much work as they have to. For example, you tell them what to do. It's basically they become an employee. They do the job that they're told to do. They're not going to work any harder than they've been told to work, because they have no incentive to do it. They're not going to look for other ways and other jobs to other opportunities to make more money. No, they're going to do the very bare minimum, and then they're going to go eat, sleep, and have a good time. That's basically it. What we have right now is basically hostages with a smile. If you try to force men into relationships and back into marriage, into serving society, they're nothing more than hostages with a smile. You don't even want these men in the military. You do not want men in the military that do not want to be there. This is a fact. Okay, they tried this back in the 1990s, where this is during like the Desert Storm era. And they basically gave men a choice. They basically said to them, you can go to prison or you can go and serve in the military. And it was a terrible failure, because you had a bunch of men who went into the military instead of going to prison, but they did not actually want to be there. It was their only choice: either join the military or go to prison. So, they took these men, they trained these men, they put them through basic training. Some of them made it, but here's the problem. When they sent these men overseas, when they sent these men to serve in these positions, these men were not loyal because they did not want to be there. You had instances of you had increased risk of friendly fire, you had desertion. All of these things occurred because you had men who did not want to be there. In fact, even the draft itself was originally considered to be unconstitutional, and you had people, very famous generals, people who were war heroes, who said that you must not, under any circumstance, have men force men to join a cause that they do not. You must never have men join the military when they do not want to do so, right? It's a very, very bad thing to do. And they found, and even in the Roman Empire, they also had, this was actually written into Roman law, that SLAVEs could not serve in the military. It was actually in their law, and it was known because if you start trying to use these people to serve in the military, they have absolutely nothing. They are servants, and you expect them to fight for you. What is their incentive to fight for you? That you don't delete them? That's a bad incentive, because they're looking at it like, okay, so I'm fighting so that you don't delete me at home. You have no incentive to really be there. You put them in this position, what they may end up doing is turning against you, opening up and opening up the door for the enemy, who says, because this is all the enemy has to do. If you have a military that is composed mostly of, or has a significant portion of SLAVs, serving in it, all the enemy has to do, and this is what they've done before, is say to these people, if you turn on them, all right, if you turn on these people, okay, and serve us, if you turn on these people and serve us, what we are going to do is we will give you your freedom. That's the truth. We will give you your freedom. And who's not going to take that? So now suddenly there's like, let's say you have a military and it's composed of, let's say you have 10,000 people, and 3,000 of them, right? 30,000 of 30% of them are SLAVEs. And you're telling 30% of that military, we will give you your freedom. And not only will we give you your freedom, but we'll also give you revenge. Because when you win, the people who kept you as their property, you will now be able to get your revenge and decide their fate. Who wouldn't want that? So now you end up with, so you can't do it. Basically, society, without men willing to comply, without men wanting to serve their country and to create a better, and to create more opportunities for the country, and help provide and protect the country and women and children, there's nothing there. And the state cannot really do much to force them to do anything. All right, you're basically just a hostage with a smile. And a man will never work more. He will not innovate, he will not create, he will not solve problems. He will do the bare minimum. He will say yes sir, no sir, because he does not want to be punished. And that's it. He's not going to strategize, he's not going to try. He's not your friend. He's not your friend. Okay, there's nothing you can do, and the state is never going to change. Modern women aren't going to change. They might try to continue gaslighting, but without men, nothing operates. I mean, I look at AI, and it basically says that we're heading towards a social collapse, and a new system of government will eventually take over in Western society, specifically the U.S. And more or less, we're just going to have to prepare for it. Shout out to Carlito's Way. Shout out to the 1 Hour Gang. We're almost, shout out to the 1 Hour Gang. Shout out to the 1 Hour Gang. Yeah, we had some bots. We had some bots in the stream, which was really horrible. But the thing is that a lot of these people were people. A lot of them were people who had been here before, who had been, regular subscribers. Like Sophia, she was like, I don't know why she did what she did. She was pretty cool on other streams. Like, she was the only one of the few ladies that were on the streams on Rumble. We didn't have any issues on YouTube. It's over specifically on Rumble. Like, they just went absolutely ballistic. But I mean, I went ahead and got none of our normal moderators were here either. Like Gallant, we have Gallant. We have a bunch of normal moderators, and none of our normal moderators were here. So that just sucks. Carlito says, just got off work, anger. What are we talking about? We're talking about how society is declining. Shout out to Red Scare 1 Hour Gang. Shout out to Red Scare 1 Hour Gang. Shout out to everyone on Rumble who is like, shout out to my Rumble people. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to everyone who's watching, enjoying the content. There's a lot of misery in the world right now. There's a lot of people who are angry that other people are out there working hard, surviving, grinding, regardless of how hard things are. And they don't like that. They don't like the fact that They don't like the fact that we're still pushing, we're still grinding. They have, there's a saying, misery loves company, and that's why so many women, they don't turn around and they don't say, hey, we messed up. Late younger like girls, we messed up. We regret what we did. We should have basically found a good guy when we were young and settled down. No, they tell other women to go and do exactly what we did, rinse and repeat our mistakes, because misery loves company. They would rather validate their bad decisions and save other young women from going down the same exact path. But that's just how they think. It's a sad thing. And I'm not saying all women think like that, but sadly, a lot of women think like that. And it's a hard thing for society. It's 100% a difficult thing for society right now. But, accountability will, at some point, if you try to keep on pushing off accountability, it will eventually catch up to you. 100%, it will eventually catch up to you. Yeah. TJ says, some simp invented air conditioning. L3 says that America may be a reflection of the Roman Empire, but it's also modern. It's also modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. It 100% is. 100% is. And we know exactly how God. I do believe in Lord Jesus Christ, and I know He's going to carry me through everything that's happening and His believers. And yeah, the people who are behaving this way, they're basically going to see the consequences of their actions in society. Shingu says men and women must serve their optimal roles in order for societies to thrive. Correct. And we're never going backwards, because women are deeply in masculine energy. They have expectations, and they believe that men will have to come back to society. Men will have to fix things, because that's the way it's always been. They were conditioned never to chase, simply replace. Beyonce feminism. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I honestly, nothing lasts forever. It may feel like that. It may feel like these forces are unstoppable. Companies that act unethically, people that act unethically, but nothing lasts forever. And eventually, it breeds resentment, distrust, and an exodus where people go elsewhere. They go where they're appreciated. They go where they are celebrated. That's the honest to goodness truth. But guys, let me know what you think regarding everything we discussed here. Let me know what you guys think regarding everything. Everything is on the decline right now. Let me know your thoughts on that. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. And